Welcome to the Ask Amanda Show, where we solve everyday problems for the small business owner. I'm your host, Amanda Benson-Tilch. On today's show, you'll get nuggets of inspiration, access to experts, and answers to those burning questions preventing you from growth. Remember to listen all the way until the end, as that's usually where the nuggets are. Let's get into it.
Human resources is one of the most important areas any company must have. With over 10 years of dedicated service to the businesses of Santa Clarita Valley, 6 Degrees HR Consulting is the go-to company for all things HR. For those all-important handbooks, harassment trainings, policies, and employee relations, give 6 Degrees a call. 661-432-1088.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Ask Amanda Show. I'm very excited today because I have a new friend on the show. You guys know that I tend to pick my guests based on somebody that I'm interested in, but really more somebody that I think that can educate, my listeners or inspire them. And I think today my guest is probably going to do both. No pressure, but I just know by our conversation. Everybody, please meet Jared Bradshaw, husband, father, business owner. And today we're going to talk about all three of those subjects. Jared, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good.
I'm excited.
I'm glad. Tell everybody about MaxPro Insurance. So you are the co-founder and CEO of business, but tell us what MaxPro Insurance is and the type of clients you serve.
Yeah. MaxPro Insurance is a commercial insurance specific brokerage. We focus on hard to place, blue collar companies basically in California. And we have clients all around the U.S., but our main focus is California.
Okay.
California is sort of the battleground for blue collar insurance because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's high risk. There isn't a lot of brokerages that are really specific in this realm. And we felt there was a gap in that, in this category.
Yeah.
And we wanted to build a model that business owners in the blue collar industry could trust and go to for anything and everything, and have someone and a team that they can call for the most difficult things going on.
Yeah.
In the workplace, which happens all the time.
Yeah, like accidents and
Yeah.
And so you do like the type of insurance. It's liability. It's workers' comp. It's everything.
Yep, we focus on workers' comp, general liability, commercial auto, professional liability, group benefits.
Okay.
Really all sectors of commercial insurance that we can tie in. EPLI, directors and officers liability.
Jeez.
Everything that a company needs,
Yeah.
especially once you get to a certain point.
And how long have you been in business? This business?
MaxPro has been around since 2018.
Okay, but how long have you been in insurance?
Been in insurance for 12 years.
Okay, which is a very long time.
Yes.
What made you go from the home and auto basically into this industry?
I started a farmer's insurance
Okay.
back in 2011 and was writing a lot of home and autos and life insurance policies. And I was also getting a lot of commercial insurance that was kind of coming to us naturally. And I noticed that...
Can you do both?
Yeah, you can do both.
Okay, with farmers? Okay.
Yeah, but what I noticed was farmers' appetite, is what they call it, wasn't very vast. So there wasn't a lot that farmers would accept that I was bringing in.
Okay.
I was bringing in a lot of high-risk categories and industries that farmers was adverse to. And so they would decline it. And once they decline it, they would allow me to place it elsewhere.
Okay.
So I had built an outside commercial book during that time of hard-to-place commercial risk in the blue-collar space, and was much more passionate about that because I felt like I could be more hands-on with businesses and really dive deep into business. I feel like that was like getting a true degree in business.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like it was more challenging for you.
Oh yeah, much more challenging.
Yeah, and I know you like to rise to the challenge, rise to the occasion of any challenge.
Oh yeah.
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 Okay.
And so what I did was I ended up selling my farmers in 2017.
Okay.
So that I could focus on the commercial insurance hard to place risks.
Okay. And then, so you have a partner because you're co-founder.
Yes.
And so how did you, I always like origin stories.
Yeah.
So how did you meet him and then come up with this idea? So you already had this book of business.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I met Christian, my business partner, at a Bible study, actually,
Okay.
at 5 a.m. on a Friday morning. and it was
Okay.
called SmackDown. It was like this
Of course
hardcore.
it was.
Yeah, I know, of course. And of course, I'm always going towards difficult things. And it was
Yeah.
difficult to wake up at, 4 and go to this Bible study and then go to the office and work.
Yeah.
And I met him there and we hit it off. I had my securities licenses, my Series 6, Series 63.
Okay.
And he had his Series 7, Series 6, all different types of licenses.
So he was sort of in that industry already. Okay.
Yeah, he was in financial planning
Okay.
and doing sort of high net worth investments for individuals.
Okay.
And he worked for Morgan Stanley and then JP Morgan. And
Okay.
we both were reading a lot of books and always talking about everything we're reading and thinking, how can we make a dent in this world when it comes to business? Because we're treating it like a competition in a way. Like business is our new competition. It's my new fight. And I want to be the best at it. And so did he. And so it's very rare at how old we were to find someone on the same level.
Yeah. How long did that relationship take to develop before you decided to do MaxPro?
Probably 4 or 5 years, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was some time.
Yeah.
I still had my farmers during that time when we met. And we kept talking, and I said, I'm gonna sell, and then I want to go on my own. And then I said, do you want to come with me, and let's start this thing together and try to do something big with it.
And you did.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I remember about this story is that that I want you to share, because a lot of people don't do like a business plan. They just get all excited because they have the talent, and then they start and they do the LLC and they go on the Secretary of State and they get their name and they do all the things.
Yeah.
But they don't really formulate an actual business plan. So you guys put together a 25-year plan?
Yeah. So
Like, that's crazy to me.
absolutely.
A business plan is usually 3 to 5 years. It's you map out a business in 3 to 5 years. It should be an ever-evolving document. You guys wrote a 25-year plan.
Yeah.
Tell me how and why you did that.
So Christian is a genius. I feel like he's very smart and he's super analytical and he's good at organizing facts and data and all these things that I'm actually not too great at. I'm more of the type that will jump in the ring or jump into the tough situation and handle it.
Okay.
And
Maybe more of an operations kind, or sort of?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm more of an operator. And
Okay.
and what we did, what he calls it, I'm like Michael Jordan and he's my Scottie Pippen.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, so
That's so good.
So really, the 25-year plan was developed primarily by him, using both our knowledge and everything we had been talking about and what we wanted to do, and then him actually mapping out how we would do it, figure by figure, year by year, month by month, policy by policy.
And do you guys refer back to that?
Yeah, not often, because
Okay.
I feel like if you refer back to it too much, you're actually gonna you'll sort of be down, that you'll get kind of down on yourself that you're not actually where you want to be
Yeah, in that moment.
Yeah,
but is it like an annual revisit or something,
Yeah.
like for strategy planning and stuff?
Oh yeah, and we're
Yeah.
always talking about it.
Yeah,
we
that's
want to
good.
build $1 billion company.
Jeez,
and that's
I
the
love
plan
that.
in the 25-year plan.
Okay. And we're 5 years in.
Yes.
Okay. That's exciting for
Yes.
you. I had to have you share that little nugget, because I felt like I have not met anybody that has mapped out 25 years. I haven't
Yeah.
met anybody that's mapped out 10 years of their life.
Oh yeah.
Really, like in a realistic world, everybody's more about the tangible, the here and now. And so, like, what can I do in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
You know, I'm always looking 5 years down the road, and I've done that for a long time until COVID hit. And then I was like, okay, let's just look a couple months down the road. And then now I'm starting to get back to it.
Yeah.
Big time.
I'm more of that.
Okay.
I'm more of what's going on right now today.
Yeah.
What fire do I need to jump on?
Yes.
Who can I go present in front of? What do we need to do right now?
Yeah.
He's very good at pulling me out of that and taking me up to a bird's eye view, so
Okay.
that we can really map things out and see, okay, this road leads here. This road leads here, but we want to be here.
Yeah,
So how do we bridge this to get there?
That's a good partnership to have. But I have a feeling there's a reason. I mean, I know why you're like that, and I want to talk about that today, about why you are a little bit like about putting out the fire today. So will you share a little bit about your upbringing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point. I've never felt like I could think long term, because I never felt like I had support or the back end to like think long term. I've always been
Stability.
stability.
Yeah.
I've always been thinking, how am I going to take care of myself this month or
Right.
today, or what am I going to do? How do I pay the bills? Where am I going to live?
You share with me that you slept on couches and things like that, like
Yeah.
kind of in your younger years, like just and I asked this question because I think it's important as entrepreneurs, kind of like what drives you.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of that comes from who we were and how we were brought up, right?
Yeah.
Not who we were, but in the past and like where it's taking us today.
Yeah. I feel like my origin story, you could say was built on adversity. And I love the saying, adversity introduces a man to his highest self or himself.
Nice.
I feel like I've been through so much trauma and adversity since a young age. When I was about six, my mom left and went to a different country and didn't come back. And we didn't hear from her or see her for about 20 years.
And who's we? Dad?
My brother and I,
Okay.
and our father.
Okay.
And it was like growing up in the wolf's den, because my dad was extremely tough on us mentally, physically, emotionally, every way possible. It was very hard to be around. He had moments of being awesome, but then most of it was very intense and very difficult. So my older brother's 5 years older,
Okay.
and he was kind of that comforting side that you need as a kid.
Yeah. But who did he have?
He had no one,
Yeah.
and we're way different, I think, because of that. My goal always has been and always will be to take care of my brother as soon as possible, financially, every way possible, and just help him live the most amazing life, because
Good for you.
I couldn't be where I am if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
I would have been I don't know, I probably would have just ran away at a young age, and he stopped me from doing that many times.
Oh, good. That's
He was always like, no, we need to stay together. We need to stay together.
That's a blessing in your life,
Yeah.
truly. So I can get why you want to take care of him in return. Yeah. So grew up without a mom, basically, no mother
Yep.
figure.
lot of women coming in and out of the house growing
Okay.
up. My dad, had multiple girlfriends, which is fine. He didn't trust women really after that. And so we had saw many different women come in and out of the house, and didn't really see relationships stick. So that was a weird thing.
So then you started getting explain to me, like you started getting into the fighting world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what happened was, because of how difficult it was at home, and I felt like I didn't have a voice at home, and I wasn't in charge even myself at home. I felt like our dad was so overpowering about everything. We had to do very controlling. We had to do everything his way or the highway. Outside of the house, when anything would happen that was an altercation, I was very quick to handle it. And if I was kind of getting whooped on at home, you could say, I'm not going to let anyone whoop on me outside of the house.
Okay.
And my older brother kind of helped me figure that out too.
Okay.
I realize I'm really tough.
Yeah.
And I can handle
Well,
stuff.
if you're taking it at home from your dad, then you're not. Yeah, you're gonna be able to like defend yourself at some point.
And he was a tough guy, so my dad too, and so you do look up to that in a way. You're like, okay, I'm gonna be tough too.
Yeah.
And so I would get into street fights and different things, and not because I wanted to. I never looked for it, but I was always ready to go, I guess you could say, if need be.
Yeah. What is that saying? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was always training.
Yeah. But training, so like then you got into like cage fighting, you got into like boxing.
Yeah. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah.
And that development.
Yep. I started first with kickboxing. It was called Kempo kickboxing.
Okay.
And they would let me train for free as long as I would fight in the tournaments that were coming up.
Okay.
And so I would fight in different kickboxing tournaments from a young age, when most kids were playing, baseball and soccer. I played a little bit of soccer, but they were doing these other sports, and they didn't really realize, and I didn't realize how cool that kind of was, but I was fighting like three people at a time on the weekend in a tournament, and then coming home and like skateboarding with my friends, not even thinking about it.
And what age is this?
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Okay.
During those
very prominent years where you're kind of, 8th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade is kind of when you're starting to form opinions about the world and about life and about who you are.
Yeah.
So you're around all these kind of like macho men.
Yeah.
Teaching you a very good life skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is how to survive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I always felt kind of smaller and kind of chubby. Like I wasn't really super chubby. I was a little chubby. I had like baby fat, but I always felt behind. So
why? Just because they were older?
Yeah, I
and
think
in
I
better
hung out
shape
with
or
older
whatever?
people
Yeah.
too, and my older brother was 5 years older,
Yeah.
and he was like a Greek god to me growing up. He had long blonde hair and was jacked always, and got all the girls,
Yeah.
and so I always looked up to him and was probably trying to impress him,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
hang out with him because he wouldn't let me. You know,
Oh,
when
yeah.
that 5 year difference is so big, you don't want your little brother coming with you and your
Yeah.
friends.
That's funny. There was a 7-year difference between me and my little brother, and I took him everywhere. Oh man, I was like, he used to call me Mother Mandy. I wanted him to be everywhere. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I get it, but that's a brother and a sister, a little bit different, and a
Yeah.
bigger age group. My other brother, 2 years different. We fought all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's so different.
His friends would
Yeah.
whoop my ass.
Oh, funny.
Oh yeah, they'd come over.
So like you just
I mean,
grew up fighting in every way,
Yeah,
basically.
and in our street growing up was all kids within the same age groups. So
Okay.
boys,
Yeah.
all boys, I feel like in
Wow.
our streets, and so there just always was altercations.
So, but this took you to like a whole nother level because you actually really excelled in this and you've won some, I don't say medals. I don't know.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I started boxing too, doing straight boxing and jiu-jitsu and MMA in high school, and kept going. And I decided I wanted to be a professional fighter after high
Okay.
school, and that was my goal.
Wow.
I also was into business, so I was like, I want to do some type of business, entrepreneurship, and
Yeah.
fight.
Where do you think you got the entrepreneurship bug from? Like,
I got that from my dad.
okay, I was gonna say because usually kids don't know they're gonna be a plumber, or they're gonna be a firefighter, or they're gonna
Yeah.
be right. So okay, so from
He
your
never
dad.
had a normal job.
Okay,
Still has never had my whole life. He's always had different businesses.
okay, so that's where you got the concept from.
Yep.
Okay, so then tell us where that led.
So right out of high school, I went into just training all the time at different fight gyms and started doing cage fights. And then back then, it wasn't as big as it is now, where you could make money doing cage fights. It was much different. A lot of them were underground, and they were called smoker fights.
Okay.
And where like you're drinking beers and stuff there, and it's like
That makes me picture like, New York City, like the Irish fighting and like gambling,
Yeah.
like in the back of.
I'm sure people were gambling.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's
yeah.
so funny.
And you're just jumping in a cage and you're fighting who's ever there that's in your weight class that you can fight. My first cage fight, I was 18 or 19, and I fought a grown man in his 40s, I think.
Oh my gosh.
And my older brother was there. My dad didn't even know that I was going doing these fights, and my older brother came and he was like, "Dude, you're fighting a guy that's like our dad's age. You realize that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I better knock him out or something, man."
real quick.
Yeah, this is gonna be bad. And I did. I knocked him out.
Oh, wow.
I finished him, and it might have been the second or third round. They stopped at his corner, threw in the towel. I was on top of him,
Wow.
just beating him in. And but I wanted to make money. I've always been driven by money, not in a greedy way, but because I was already living on my own, sleeping on couches after high school.
Wow.
And renting rooms at different places and figuring out what to do.
Yeah.
I worked produce at Albertsons, and for probably a year. That's my last W-2 job.
Wow.
And
in high school.
Right after high school.
Okay.
And I saved the apple boxes and banana boxes, and I put all my clothes in them and put them in the back seat of my truck.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd have them folded in there, and that's kind of where I'd pull my clothes from.
Yeah.
And then I would do laundry at friends' houses that I'd be able to sleep at.
Yeah. And shower at.
Yeah, and shower at and all that kind of
What
stuff.
a life.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
So you've just lived in survival mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then,
survival mode.
so then creating your own businesses, because that's what I'm trying to get to is like you've owned a couple of gyms.
Yeah. So while I was fighting, I decided to open up an MMA gym. And the first one was called Stand Up MMA
Okay.
because we really like stand up. And then Fit to Fight MMA, which was also around fitness because we loved fitness. And I was also a private trainer. I was a
Okay.
certified private trainer,
Okay.
training people and fighting,
At
in
the
different
same time.
tournaments.
Yeah. Wow.
And then boxing, I really got hooked on boxing, and it was partly because I knew you could make more money. And I thought, I love fighting. If I'm going to get punched in the head,
Yeah.
I would love to make money doing it, not
Yeah.
be doing these little smoker fights and trying to figure out my way.
So crazy.
So I started boxing, and I was doing really well, and boxing through the amateur circuit also for USA Boxing. And then won Golden Gloves for welterweight in 2010.
Okay.
And did the U.S. Open for the Olympic trials also that same year.
Wow.
And just kept. I actually fought Sugar Shane Mosley Jr.'s son
Oh my gosh.
at that very
That's
first
cool.
fight. So that was awesome.
Yeah. What an experience that must have been.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was a good experience. Boxing helped me learn so much in life. Fighting did. Just putting myself in those situations, being super nervous. People don't talk about that.
Yeah, well, mentally have to mentally prepare for it.
Oh, yeah.
The before and the after, like the recovery side of it as well.
You learn a lot about yourself leading
Yeah.
up to a fight and what you're capable of mentally and physically, and then showing up to weigh-ins and then looking at your opponent and then knowing I have to fight this guy tomorrow and there's going to be a lot of people watching.
Yeah.
I could embarrass myself. It's nerve-wracking.
So crazy. So I'm reading this book. You might have read it. This is just, I'm having flashbacks. But Tim Grover's Relentless.
Yeah, I love that book.
So it's a good book. And he talks about that, like you're thinking too much. Just get in and do.
Yeah.
And he talks about, so this is funny because I thought about you when I was reading this book, preparing for this interview.
Yeah.
He talks about the 3 types of categories of people, right? The coolers, the closers, and the cleaners.
Yeah, yep.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And the coolers are like, you know, in terms of success, because this is where I thought about you when I read this.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of different definitions about it, but so it's funny that you say this because it is such about mindset and thinking. Like the cooler, they, like in terms of success, like they don't really, they think of like how they could be successful is based on what other people tell them. Right. And the closers are somebody who just like, they'll tell you about their success, you know, and the closer or the cleaner
Yeah.
is never feels successful because there's more work to do.
Yep.
Like they always are moving on. And I thought about you in that because of the stories that I have heard, which I'm hearing more today.
Yeah.
I feel like you're always striving for more.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like that's such a relatable topic.
Yeah.
But man, that's such a good book because he talks so much about mindset and when before any game, like what you're talking about before any fight, if you are in your head too much, you could go in there and really screw it up.
Oh yeah. The best fights I had were when I was the most calm. But you know what I realized? This is what I realized is I needed to put myself in more difficult situations before the fight. So I would spar the most difficult people around at different gyms. And when I was doing that and putting myself in scary situations before my fights against any opponent, I was the strongest and the most confident going in because I already sparred the hardest people. I was sparring pros when I was still an amateur. I was getting paid to spar pro. I was getting paid to spar Sergio Amora when he won the Contender, and he already was the middleweight champion for Golden Boy.
Wow.
I was getting paid to spar him while fighting amateur fights. So anyone I fought, I was like, I just sparred someone that's much bigger than me and actually did very well against him. So my confidence level was through the roof.
Yeah, that's such an interesting mindset to have as you go and approach business as well.
Yeah. And here's what else I realized is, speaking of all the businesses, so I had the fight gyms. I was doing some multi-level marketing stuff too. After I was jumping around.
Anything
to make money and gain experience. And one thing I realized women probably go through this too. I think men do this a little more is they jump around too much. And I was jumping around too much. And I realized that when I got into insurance, even though I wanted to stop, because once I got successful at something, I stopped. I realized that. The gyms were successful, and then I was over it.
Like you got bored, maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was bored and over it. So with insurance, I told myself, like, even when I sold, I almost felt like I was selling because I was bored. I had written over 1,000 policies, and I was like, okay, I'm a beast at
I can do this. Yeah.
Now what?
Interesting.
And then I realized, no, I had to tell myself, Jared, you need to stick something out for 10 years and then see where it takes you. And I think that for a man, if they can stick something out for 10 years, they're going to really realize after that 10-year mark if they want to keep doing it because they're successful at it or where it's going to take them. But also because don't be so focused on what you're passionate about because your passions can be your hobbies.
Yeah. Yes.
What you make money with doesn't have to be your passion. It can be something different. It can be something difficult that you don't want to do every day.
Yeah.
And that's what builds discipline too, is doing what you don't want to do each day.
Yeah, that's such a great lesson that you learned, especially about yourself, because now that you can share that, like I feel like you're so young, you can share that with other people that are coming up alongside of you. I just think that that's so good, but implementing that into your business model as well is really good. Like you meet a lot of interesting people in the work that you do because of what types of businesses that you insure.
Yep.
This is why I think you have so much to share because you have lived a very interesting but intense life, and it's interesting how many entrepreneurs that I continue to meet that have come from some kind of survival mode. They have that
Yeah.
mindset.
You know why I think? There's a saying, and it goes, the wildest colts make the best horses. I was a super wild colt, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
a super wild dude. And once I could tame that on myself and learn mind control for myself and how to control my mind and learn stoicism, how to control my emotions,
Yeah.
which I'm always still working on.
Sure, we all are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I realized I can do anything. And I'm not just a feather in the wind getting blown around on what happens to me in life. I can control where my mind goes, because once you can do that, you can kind of control your life.
That's so interesting. So I'm having an aha moment. So my little brother passed away that I brought up a minute ago when I was 22. Okay. And that was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And I've had some things in my life as well. That to me at 22 was the hardest thing. And I don't realize it was hard until after, right? Because I was going through it. But the fact that I got through that. So everything that came up after that in my life, I looked at, well, I can get through that. I got through that. Yeah. I survived. I didn't go down depression. I didn't do a lot of things that happen to people who lose somebody that they love. Yeah. I didn't do that. I got through it, and I'm on the other side. Yeah. And I'm educated. I'm smart. Like I'm doing life, right? So every single thing that came up afterwards, I just thought to myself, I can do this. So I kind of had that same thing. Like whatever the trauma is or whatever, I think that's the mindset that I think I've recognized that most entrepreneurs have. Yeah. And that's what drives them to keep going. But I want to talk to you about because the thing that got you bored and that you were like jumping around. I also have done that in my life. I think the kids and I counted how many jobs or career. I think I've had like 28 over my time. Now I'm a little older than you, so whatever, But I was shocked that I have done that many things. But my point is, do you feel like, because there is a time in my life where I was like, okay, you got to stick this out. You got to do this. My responsibilities changed. Yeah. Okay. I got divorced. Now all of a sudden I have 2 kids I'm responsible for. I need to look at something that I have some stability in. Like things changed. So what I was starting to look for, I was looking for some more stability. Do you feel like when you were looking at selling the farmer's insurance and maybe building out MaxPro, had met Alexi yet? Like, where were you in your life as like, because you have 3 children?
Yep, 3 boys.
3 boys, and you're married, and I know they're young, but like, is that something that had made you kind of say, hey, Jared, stick to this for a while? Yeah. The responsibility of that?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Our first son was 3, and our second son was 1 when I sold. Okay. And I could tell my brain was already thinking, and even with Christian, we were like, we should start a marketing agency instead. That sounds fun. Build some residual income and we understand, kind of how stuff works. So we thought, yeah, let's do that. And we even played around with it for a few months. And then we snapped out of it and said, no, stick with what we're great at and what we can truly build. And it was very hard. And we were thinking he has 4 kids.
I would say, was he also married at that? Okay.
Yeah, married, 4 kids. Left a very stable job at JP Morgan to do this with me. Yeah. And
so you guys had now different responsibilities, because living on your own and, living couch to couch and just wanting the desire to make money and starting these other businesses, like that all sounds like that's awesome. Yeah. That's who should be doing that, because you don't have, it's just you taking the risk. But now you have a family, and, that's why I was kind of thinking that stability is a thing that kind of made you stay.
Yeah, it is. That was a big part of it. And my wife, she's been a stay-at-home mom since we had our first son. So he's just turned 9. So she's been a stay-at-home mom for about 9 years. Yeah. And she's always helped me. She's, my rock. And whenever I'm freaking out about something, which I seem very calm and collective, but I still have my own freak out moments when I get home. Like, the world's crazy right now. I need to make sure we have enough water and food for a year. And I don't know what's happening. Business is good, but who knows what could happen. And she's like, she helps me realize, she's like, you're a beast, dude. What are you doing? Like, stop thinking that way.
We'll get through it.
You're fine. Yeah, you always do fine for us.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because she does sound like she's your biggest cheerleader. Yes. And I think that people like us, need that in our lives, like a lot, where because we do question, we do have doubts, we do have fears.
Yes.
And we do seem like we have it all together, because you do seem like that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so how important is that, when like recognizing that in her, that was somebody that you needed?
Super important. I'm my biggest critic. So anything I do, I'm self-analyzing. Any presentation we make to a new client or prospect, I look back and think I did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. I barely think about what I did right.
Interesting.
Anything, I could have done this better. That's why I got so good at fighting, though. Also, that's why I think I get good at things, is because I do look at that. I'm never like, oh, I'm good. No room for improvement.
Yeah.
I'm thinking and looking at all room for improvement, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Constantly need to be improving. And she's helped me grow. She's helped me grow a lot emotionally too, because I didn't grow up with women.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
Yeah.
I'm like a hardened individual when it comes to that stuff, where I'm like, none of this matters.
And it didn't sound like you grew up around anybody who trusted women, so sometimes you probably then wouldn't trust women either.
No.
But you have a great relationship, with her. So
Yeah.
that's so, like, it's so great that you're changing that for your kids.
Yeah. A huge part of it comes from positive thinking. And I learned all that from all the books I was reading as a kid, and going deep into my mind and realizing that life is as you are, not as it is. So if I'm in a positive mind state, then everything around me in my world that day is going to be in a positive mind state. And she's actually helped me realize that too, with different things, because like, say we're driving and someone cuts me off and they're driving crazy, and I'm like, what the heck is this person doing? She would say things, and this would crack me up. She would be like, maybe that guy's racing to the hospital because his wife's going into labor. And I was like, gosh, you might be right.
Yeah.
So let him go. No reason to get upset with him about it.
Yeah. That's funny. So she'll bring you down a little bit, like to more reality. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's such a good balance. And I think it's always important. I always like to know kind of the home life as well from business owners, because, it's hard to do all the things that we do. And I know Christian has a good, stable, something similar home life. And I think as partners, like, you look to each other for that. And so it's really good to hear that. It's also good to share that with our audience, because I feel like that's something that people don't know on the other side of things. They just see the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think that's interesting. As a father, I'm so curious to know about how you are raising your boys. And it's interesting that you've got all boys.
I know.
Right? How God works that way.
Yep.
That how you're raising your boys, that you feel like that's so different from how you were raised. And does that drive you a lot? Like, do you think back a lot about your past and about how you are as a father?
Yeah. I think about it a lot. Every time, especially when I get upset about something, I remember back being a little kid, and I don't feel like an intimidating person, but I'm probably intimidating to our kids. They're little kids, 7 and 9 years old. If I get upset, they're a little kid, and I remember back to when I was a little kid, being terrified of our dad.
Yeah.
Crying in bed at night, just terrified of him, and I look, so anytime I get upset or something makes me upset, angry,
or whatever,
I'm like, hey, think about that. That's a little boy. He's only been in this world for 7 years.
Yeah.
I've been in this world for 37 years. I've been through crazy shit. He hasn't, and I don't want him to. So I want him to stay soft, and not always soft, but I want him to be a little kid and not have to worry about that. So it helps me be a disciplinary father, but not in a harsh and physical way.
Yeah. You're also very present. Like, we talked before, and like, you don't really have like a big social life.
No,
yeah,
no social life.
You're
really.
very much like about your family. And I think that's so important at this young age, but especially in today's world.
Yeah. I want to be a really good example for them. And one thing I learned is from Wes Watson, which was build yourself into the man that you look up to, and that your kids want to look up to. Like, be the hero, and then give that person away to the world, give that person away to your family, give that person away to everyone that deserves you.
Yeah.
Even the people that don't deserve you, just so you can help make a positive impact.
Yeah.
So for the kids,
really good.
I want them, when they go to school, if they're talking about their parents, I want them to be like, my dad is a superhero.
Yeah.
He physically is, mentally he teaches me stuff. I teach them chess. I teach them fighting. I teach them how to speak. I teach them how to control their mind and emotions.
Yeah.
I talk to my wife too, and she's better at this than me 'cause she's with them more also, and she's really intelligent. We speak to them like they're adults.
Yeah. I've always done that with my kids too.
And I can tell because Miles is a little man.
Yeah.
Not even a little man. He's a man.
I know. He's like a 48-year-old in a 23-year-old body. I know.
Yes.
But I always did the same thing too. I didn't protect them from things. I just told them this is what's really happening right now. So this is what we're going to do.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel the same way. And this is how we handle it and why we're doing this way. And this is how we're showing up today. Yeah. I would always do the same thing. I think that's lacking a lot in these children being raised in today's world.
It is.
Yeah.
And the world, I feel like, does that. It makes it very difficult for parents to spend time doing that because we're so busy trying to pay bills and handle
we're
everything
in demand.
going on. Yes.
I agree. We're in demand a lot, but you do a very good job of that. I have transitioned myself this last probably 2 years, mostly maybe a little more than that or a little less than that. I was very involved in the community, very much giving back, I don't know, like I'm just a doer. So like if I see a problem, I'll just get in there and fix it. And so, but all those problems kind of showed up at my house, and, you know, my parents moved in with us, my son's girlfriend moved in with us. And like all of a sudden I felt like I'm going to take all the energy that I was giving to the community and put it to my house.
Yeah.
And that changed so much. So I'm not really as social as I used to be.
Yeah.
But I'm still filling those gaps for myself because I am a social person. And so I had to find ways to still really kind of fill that up. But just shifting that energy back to the house, which I know you do every day that you go home, and you just see the benefits of that. So like I'm grateful to find somebody else that does that.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, you know, and I'm inspired because it does show that it does make a difference. You know,
Yep.
I mean, everything has changed in my house for the better. So since I shifted my energy,
That's
and it's
so
not just because
cool.
of me, but you know,
Yeah.
it's the energy that you bring to it.
Yeah, the energy.
Yeah. And you're raising little men,
Yep.
you know, and I
Yep.
think that you and your wife are doing a great job. So
Thank
I
you.
commend you for that. Tell me a little bit about where you think MaxPro is going to go. Wait, before we do that, because I don't want to skip this. I almost forgot.
Okay.
Fitness is so important to you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So important to you. I've not met personally anybody that's really like you. I've seen them, you know, they're people
Yeah.
we follow online,
Oh, yeah.
right? And they're serious about it. But I haven't really met somebody I think that really, maybe because you talk about it and you show it more than maybe other people do.
Yeah.
Maybe I know them, but not to this caliber. What is it? Because Miles told me something interesting about you. So my son Miles works for Jared, if we don't know that. He told me that you get really nervous if you get sick.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
that's funny. That you
Like
said
breaking,
that.
like you get nervous, like if it's going to mess you up, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I don't like
Tell me
getting-
about your health and your
I'm
fitness.
super routine oriented. I'm the type of person, and it comes from fighting also.
Okay.
I can eat the same thing every single day forever. I don't care what it tastes like.
Why is that?
to
Because
be
you
honest.
know what it does to you? Like
Yeah.
there's an expectation there.
I'm eating for performance. I feel like I'm eating like a cheetah would or an animal in this weird way, and it comes from fighting because all those years I was fighting and trying to make weight, it didn't matter what I wanted. It was you have to eat this way to make weight, and I'm super disciplined and routine oriented. And my wife knows this too because she's like, no one's like that where they can just do the same thing every single day and
Yeah.
be fine with it. But I can wake up at the same time every day. I can go to the gym at the same time every single day, do what I need to do, and then I feel amazing doing that stuff.
And you don't get bored there.
No,
Interesting.
not at all. And it's because I like to push myself.
Okay.
I also feel like if I walk into a room and I'm giving someone advice on how to run their business insurance wise or risk management wise, loss control wise, HR wise, whatever we're doing, why should anyone listen to me if I don't look like I can take care of myself?
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Truly, you shouldn't listen to me if I can't even take care of myself. How am I
Yeah.
going to take care of you?
Yeah.
How can I take care of my own kid? How can I have my sons trust me when I don't look like I take care of myself?
Yeah.
There's no way.
I agree with that. That was one of the mind shifts that I had as I approached 50,
Yeah.
which I turned this year. And I just felt like I wanted to really take control of that. And if I'm doing these high performance things, my body needs to follow the mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Your mind and body are connected.
Yeah.
You're going to have a sharper mind if your body is in shape.
Yeah.
Plain and
You
simple.
are so dedicated though.
Yeah.
But that comes from the consistency of like, you could just
Yeah.
do the same thing in this world every day.
Yeah. So back to it, if I get sick or something happens, it freaks me out because it takes me out of my routine, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, I rarely get sick.
Yeah.
I'm like, I take vitamins, I do everything I need to do. I drink an insane amount of water every day. I'm in the sauna every morning. I'm doing all these things.
Yeah. Talk to us about your routine. I think it's important for people to hear. It's like, yeah,
Cool.
Fitness is important, but what does that mean? So you eat the same stuff every day. You eat very clean.
Yeah, I eat mainly an animal-based diet. I do have veggies and stuff, but I eat a lot of grass-fed meat. I do have liver. I have heart. Wow. I eat all these things. I eat a lot of fruit. I love mangoes, pineapples, apples, bananas, blueberries, grapes.
You look at ingredients though on things too.
Oh yeah, I'm hardcore on that. I don't eat stuff with seed oils. If I try to eat stuff that has the most minimum ingredients possible.
Okay.
I just want the food.
So like fresh off the butcher block or right out of the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
And the whole family eats like this.
Yeah. I was going to say, is that hard for them well, I guess if you're for the kids, it would be easy if you're just doing that. I mean, where they get stuck is if they go out to friends and things and they're like, oh, I had an Oreo cookie today. And like, they've never had that before.
I know. And I hate that. And I'm always hard on them. Like, what'd you eat today? I always ask them, what'd you eat at school today? What'd you get the snack thing? I'm always asking them because there's nothing healthy at the snack carts at schools, which is so annoying. They should have healthy options, but they don't. Yeah. It's, Oreos, Cinnabons and these things. But so in the morning, I wake up between 4 and 5 every day. My alarm's set for about 5 every single day, but I wake up earlier a lot of times and just get up and start going. And
do you go to bed early?
I go to bed between 9 and 10:30. Okay. It varies because I get home sometimes later and I want to spend time with the family, so I don't want to just go to bed. Yeah. Even though I'm tired, I just put on my different shoes at home, whatever it is, and I'm up and ready to go basically for as long as it takes.
Good for you. Sometimes I just go to bed.
Yeah, I know. I want to sometimes.
I need to.
But that's what gives me the fuel for the next day is getting my family time at night. Okay. And kissing the boys and Lexi and doing these things gives me my energy the next morning to leave. Okay. If I don't have that, it really messes with my mind.
Yeah. So you're up at 5. You go to the gym?
Yep. Go to the gym, do a good workout, whatever I have planned each day. Mm-hmm. After I exercise, I do a cold shower at the gym, and then I do the sauna for 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 25, sometimes longer. Okay. Then I go in the steam room for 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. Then I do another cold shower. Then I get ready for the day.
So your body's shocked and ready to go. Yeah. Basically.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is lit up.
Yeah,
if you're doing that.
Part of the reason I do that is I'm putting myself through all these difficult things in the morning. Yeah. I'm dealing with difficult stuff all day too. None of that compares to what I already did to myself.
Yeah, that's so true. If you already did all the hard things, everything else is going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like if you have good stamina, physically and mentally, I'm also listening to books. I'm reading. I'm studying what's going on in the world in the morning. My whole morning is an educational process.
So you're listening to podcasts. Like, what's the couple top podcasts you listen to? The Ask Amanda Show, obviously.
Yep, Ask Amanda Show. Andy Frisella. Yeah. Religiously, I listen to him. Joe Rogan. Yep. Patrick Bet-David. Mm-hmm.
Those are all great people who do talk about daily topics.
Yes.
Yeah, so I see.
And Patrick Bet-David I really look up to because he was in the insurance space. Mm-hmm. He's from Glendale, which is local. Yeah. Sold his company in the past couple of years for hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. And now, which I love, is using his platform and his money and putting his money where his mouth is. Yeah. And speaking about things that need to be spoken about. Yeah. Just like Andy is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that because I feel like I would do
trying
the same thing.
Trying to make a difference somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're helping young men and different people realize, what's going on and how to make their lives better.
Yeah, I agree. So that's the education part that you've got that you do in the morning. Yes. And then you tackle work all day.
Yep. And throughout the day, I'm listening to books. I'm constantly studying stuff. I'm reading about what's going on in business insurance, reading the insurance journals, figuring out what's going on in the markets, if it's a hard market, a soft market, how I can negotiate, how I can educate our clients and business owners too. Mm-hmm. I feel like there was a lacking in that a lot of business owners tell us, gosh, you know so much. Like, I can ask you so many questions and you can give us so much advice, and you know what's going on and why our rates are changing, why our rates doubled last year.
Yeah.
Why stuff's happening.
Yeah.
You can figure anything out if you just look into it.
Yeah. But as business owners, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We want somebody else to do that.
Yes.
So yeah, you being able to tell us is very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think it happens enough, like, because we don't know what to ask, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the times, but we just trust that you're there to take care of us.
Yeah. It's like where I nerd out. I'm the geek when it comes to that stuff.
So funny. I love that you found your niche. I absolutely love it. I'm excited to see where MaxPro is going to go. I know you have it figured out in a way, but what's kind of like the future for you guys?
We're going to keep building our team, keep building our processes and our systems, because as long as we can keep dialing in our processes and systems, we can offer the level of service that we need to and that our clients deserve.
Yeah.
Our clients paying, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in insurance.
Yeah.
And a lot of brokerages, I don't think they realize how valuable that is.
Yeah.
Because they're not the ones paying that. I realize it. Being a business owner and running different businesses along the way, I know how hard it is to hand over $50,000 and not get anything back for it.
Yeah.
So we want to keep being able to pour in value and build a platform eventually for other brokers that have the same vision as us and to come work with us and get trained by us and build like an elite Navy SEAL type of team in this industry, because we believe it's needed.
Yeah.
And just take over.
Yeah, that's
and not
good.
just sell out to some big corporation that is you're just going to get swallowed up in and get, we win a lot of business from brokerages after they get bought up, because the clients and the business owners will tell us, that our broker, he sold to another brokerage and now we don't hear from anyone. We don't really know what's going on. And so we win that business. It's
you're fighting for that business too, but also that's what we talked about kind of before, is that the importance of relationships, right?
Yes.
I think what you guys do a good job at is educating, because you're right, handing over $50,000 is terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, you might as well just,
especially because
put me
you
through
don't
a root
get
canal
anything for it.
Exactly right. It's the worst thing ever. But that's not true, because what you are getting for it is the protection, right? Yes. And I think what you guys do is a very good job of letting the business owners know that that's what they're getting. So the keeping in touch with them, it's not just a deadline. Like, I think what you are building is what you wanted to build.
Yeah.
And I think that's encouraging for other people, like, write out your dream, but then live by it. Don't be a sellout.
Yes.
Right?
Don't be a sellout.
Yeah. One last question for you, and I don't know if I prepared you for this or not, but because we talk a lot about books, I know we both like to read.
Yeah.
If you were to write a book, what would the title be? And what would it be, business related, or would it be more personal? Or what would the topic that you would want to write about?
It would be a little of both. I think it would be about adversity, and adversity being a good thing, especially for men. And not shying away from difficult things. I've never shied away from difficult things, and every time I go against something difficult and come out on top, I'm so much stronger, so much more capable. And say I don't come out on top, I learn an insane amount, and I'm also much stronger, much more capable, because I don't let it keep me down. I'm going to keep going. So it would probably be on adversity and life and business and family, because you go through a lot of adversity with your family growing up, but then also the family that you start. It's not all easy.
No,
it takes so much give and take. You have to fall on the sword a lot in life, as they say, and apologize and get better. Adversity
is a very good topic. I love ending it with that. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I hope that it leads to other things with you. I hope this show encourages you to share more of your past, and then also guides your future.
Yeah.
And I really feel like you have a lot to share. You're a very interesting human, and we only touched a little bit,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff we talked about, and I did record it, so don't worry. We recorded the pre-show, but some of the stuff we talked about pre-show still surprised me. So thank you for being here today.
Yes.
Everybody, until next time, we'll see you then. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ask Amanda Show. If you'd like more information on today's guest, be sure to see the show notes, or you can visit my website at askamandaconsulting.com. I'd love to hear what you thought about today's show. Please leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or you can rate the show if you're listening on iTunes. Thanks again for tuning in.